Aiden even want? Who is he? He kind of lit a few things on fire, but it wasn't like a bad fire. Fire Touched is certainly not as good as the previous book, Night Broken. It was okay. There were things I liked, but it feels like there are more things that I didn't like. But first, something that I liked, Mercy with her up-and-coming werewolf pack mom role. When you got a problem with werewolves, who are you gonna call? Mercy! I absolutely loved the scene where Mercy has to talk down Sherwood from jumping from a crane. It was touching. It showed her strengths as an emotional person, and I just loved that it is now her job to do things like that, that she's really coming up on responsibility like that. And it's like, instead of just saying Mercy has grown a lot, especially in her relationships to the members of the werewolf pack, it actually showed her helping one of the members of the pack with their problems that we haven't seen yet. So that was good storytelling. This was quite a book for Mercy gaining new responsibilities and moving up, because this is also the book where Mercy declares that the Tri-Cities area is the werewolf pack's territory and they will not let any of the monsters prey on the humans in their territory. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know. It felt like it was this big announcement, but then by the end of the book, it still didn't mean much. Though there was one ramification, which was interesting, which is they got kicked out of the North American Werewolf Pack Association, which honestly was a big moment. I gasped. Wow, that sounds so boring, North American Werewolf Pack Association, but then it also sounds so interesting because werewolf pack. I like how these books are just so goofy sometimes. Or maybe my perception of them is so goofy sometimes. One of the things in this book that I'm bittersweet about is the scene where Adam declares to the werewolf pack, you guys can stop disrespecting Mercy or you can leave the pack. One hand, I like it because the werewolf pack disrespecting Mercy was kind of getting repetitive and boring and kind of lost its spark. However, on the other hand, the members of the pack just kind of accept it on face value and are just like, yeah, whatever. And then it's said that they're happy about this totally dictatorship decision coming from Adam. Wait a minute. Why are the members of the werewolf pack happy about this? Happy about their freedoms being restricted? Do they just enjoy strong leadership that much? Is it like the pack was being weakened by all this division in it, and now they're happier because now there's no division because everyone's on the same side because the leader declared that they were all on the same side? I would have enjoyed this plotline if it would have been elaborated on more, if we could have seen more about what the pack was really thinking and why they were thinking this, but the way it is now, it's just like, it's just a hint of the feelings of the pack. It's just a hint of how werewolves work, but we don't get any more than that, and it just felt kind of like we're brushing that plotline under the rug now, it's gone, instead of actually dealing with the solution that they used to solve it. Or actually dealing with a problem that the solution caused, which solved the other problem. Anyway, it just felt like a cop-out in the end. I hope in future books we'll get some blowback on this. At this point, I'm not feeling super hopeful for this series, because again, this book was a little bit of a letdown. But the part of this book that I liked the least was the new character, Aiden. Aiden is a little kid who's been trapped in fairyland for hundreds and hundreds of years, and now he has fire powers and he might be a little crazy. And again, it's just like the werewolf pack drama. It's like hints of really good plot lines and characters, but not delivered on. Because at the end of the day, what does Aiden even want? Who is he? I've read an entire book and I'm still kind of unsure. In the book, it's stated that Aiden's main motivation is to be safe. That he wants to not go back to Underhill, to Fairyland, that he wants somewhere safe to be. But then, like, everything he does in this book kind of contradicts that. Like, he has a safe place staying with the werewolves. Good, he fought for that. And then it seems like every other chapter he's like, oh, sorry, I misbehaved, I guess I'll be going now. Like, he doesn't even fight for a space there. And then if his main motivation was just to not go back to Underhill, well then at the end of the book he just kind of goes back. I know it's just supposed to be temporary so they can retrieve their quest item, but still, it's like, there was such a good promise of drama in Tad's speech. So Tad comes over and he gives a speech about this one Star Trek episode where they discover similarly a kid with great powers who doesn't really understand much social cues and it turns out to be a disaster. And Tad is like, I'm worried that's gonna happen here. And then me as the reader is like, ooh, that's a good plot line, that might happen here. And then it didn't. He kind of lit a few things on fire, but it wasn't like a bad fire, and I kept expecting Aiden to go crazy and to, like, start killing people or something, and then it didn't happen. Spoilers. The climax, the villain was, like, the Widow Queen, but we had seen her, like, 2 times, and I was just underwhelmed. I didn't care about this conflict. I didn't really care about Aiden. So yeah, this book was just kind of disappointing all around. Because I don't even know what the main plot was. Like, the Widow Queen, she was the climax, but she wasn't in the rest of the book. Who was the real villain of this book? There wasn't one. And that's okay, not all books need a villain, but you could ask yourself, what is the main antagonistic force or problem with this book? And still it's like, the fairies want Aiden back? And then I'm like, just give him to the fairies, I don't care about Aiden. I wish it would have been more centered on Z and Tad, because those are characters I actually care about. Though, I did still enjoy it enough to, you know, read the entire thing in a day. It's like, the writing style is so good. I don't think I've discussed this yet, but the more that I study these books and really think about them, the more that I realize the prose is gorgeous. Like, it's not gorgeous in a flashy in-your-face way, but once I actually start reading these paragraphs for the intent of looking at the prose, wow! This is one step away from poetry sometimes. This is beautiful story crafting. So the story itself, on a technical, smaller level, is fantastic. It's just when we get to the larger character and plot arcs that I keep finding myself disappointed, especially when it's contrasted with a book that I loved right before it. You know, thinking about this entire video, I do think I enjoyed this book more than I'm saying. In my heart, I have more love for this book than my brain wants to express when I make a video trying to analyze and review the book. Because I feel like, looking at the book as a whole, it's not that good, but still, after reading this far into the series all the way to book 8, I'm hooked. It doesn't even matter that this book's plot is kind of disorganized and the new characters introduced aren't even that interesting or good. Like, I'm still excited to see how Aiden fits into their family in future books. I'm still excited to hopefully get more drama with Hoel. I want to know what happens to these characters, even if I feel like this book didn't show them off very well.